All right. It was just last week, Ugochukwu, in Festac in Lagos, took his life, an albino. A lot of issues shrouding the mystery how this entire thing happened, but we're going to throw a sort of blanket over the albino society in this country. I mean, it's massive. We're looking at 6 million. We talked earlier about the fact how people just unknowingly do things against albinos. Sometimes bias, sometimes crude jokes. Unfortunately, don't realize how it hits hard at them, bullying in school and all of that. We're talking also about the fact that not as bad as in Tanzania, where people have albinos been targeted. At some point, the government had put out restrictions and laws saying that this cannot go on, and hit hard traditional healers and people involved in the ritual killings going on in Tanzania at that point in time. But a stitch in time, they say, saves 9. Fortunately, Vicky and I have Jake Pele, who is the founder of Albino Foundation in Nigeria, also did a report on the Tanzania situation, I understand, too, so we can have an opportunity to have an entire outlook on albinos in this country. Pleasure, sir, to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful to have you join us this morning.
Thank you, ma'am.
You look well. You've lived a full life. Married with kids, despite all you've been through as a when you were younger.
I know. Well, sometimes you use good clothes to cover your problem.
Absolutely.
But it's been challenging, but very, very interesting. I've lived all my life as an albino, and I'm very comfortable with it. I am an albino, and I'm proud to be one.
Okay.
And I'll continue to be one. you know.
Okay, you want to get to that place of comfort where you're comfortable with who you are, regardless of what everybody else thinks. We'll come to that part later on the show.
Right. This young man, I'm just going through some of the pictures. The report was even done early on from Abuja some days ago. Issues raised here. You've met the family of this youth, and I'm sure it's real heart-rending to realize a guardian will bring a child up to this level and have to go through all the initial stages of discrimination and all of that. And yet the child still takes his life. It's unfortunate, your reaction.
Well, I'm not surprised, even though at the foundation we strongly condemn the act because it's not a good example. You don't have to take your life just because of the challenges. You don't run away from your problem, you face the problem. However, I blame largely the reason on the society who never cared, on people who don't believe that just because you have a different color of a skin, that something is wrong with you. That's just what we get when the society don't care for the very people that they ought to care for, when the government is not interested in the very people that they lead, and when family members don't seem to sit down sometimes and ask questions. I had a good friend of mine who worked in one of the big media outfit, and he had this young man, an albino friend, an albino family member, and never asked question, how do you go through life? And one day we met, he said, oh, Jake, I have one of you in my home, and he's comfortable, he's all right, he does well in school. And I said, Uncle, have you ever taken time to sit down and ask him a question? Because unknown to people, what makes you an albino is if you have freckles, if you're a beggar, if you're out there on the street, asking for alms. That's what makes you an albino. And sometimes people say, well, you're not an albino. I feel insulted when people tell me you're not an albino because I am an albino, But then the issues are unfolding. There is discrimination. There is stigmatization. I grew up in my own family with issues that I had to deal with, and I'm still dealing with. I'm 54. Don't I look good at my age?
You definitely do.
Yeah, I'm 54, but then there are issues I've lived with. Parental discrimination, my mom in particular, and she's grown up to accept it And she's no longer angry. Initially, when I said that, she goes, why did you tell that to the public? And I said, Mom, listen, people need to know that there were errors in my life that I have been able to correct. And there are mistakes you made that others shouldn't make, you know. So indeed, there are discrimination. This young man, I didn't just sit back in Abuja and make calls. I've met with the family, the coordinator of the Lagos State chapter of the foundation. We have about 42 chapters across the country. Have met with the family. I've met with the police commissioner in charge, assistant police commissioner in charge of the case. I know what the issues are. And I had to explain to this woman who's the aunt of this young man why he did what he did. Guess what? Several times I thought of taking my own life. Several times. You know, it can be so challenging. Think about this. A young man bubbling with life. I wanted to go to parties just like every other person goes to party. And I walked into a party and I was walked out blatantly because of the color of my skin. How would you think about that? You know, and unfortunately, it was those days of foolishness. I had a girlfriend and we were both in the party and I was told to leave. And she said, well, I'm not going with you. Bye. And that's how I lost a girlfriend. So, you know, I have been in a situation, even with nice jackets, and I give my hand to somebody to shake, and he says, oh no, I don't touch an albino. What would you do? People tolerate you just because they want to put up with you, you know. A lot of people are passive about persons with albinism. You know
what? Let's talk about. There's a lot of psychological impact of what this would cause anybody who has to go through this stigmatization. We will come to that as well. But let's talk about the skin condition at first. What is it about?
Well, albinism is not a disease. Is not a curse. It's just the lack of, in a layman definition, is lack of the presence of melanin. Sometimes it is not there, other times is in very limited quantity. Now, when you have a very limited quantity, you could turn out to be ocular. Ocular is one whose eyes is affected. So you find even a black person can be an albino because your eyes is affected. So that's ocular. Then there's oculocutaneous, which is the full-fledged individual without albinism, and I'm one, so you don't need to look for example. You know. And so even within the category of an oculocutaneous albinism rather, you find what they call the OCA1, OCA2, OCA3, OCA4, depending on the varying degrees of the melanin you have. By the way, melanin is the chemical composition that gives your colors. You know, you're slightly darker than her, so you have more melanin than she does, right. And I have less melanin, so you see, we're actually sitting in gray, black. You know? So that's what it is. You know, it is not. It doesn't affect your brain. It doesn't affect the way you think. It doesn't affect your intellectual capacity. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Please, except ignorance.
Let me come in with this. Taking care of your skin. We know you're sensitive to sunlight and all of that. Now, how would you advise somebody to help a young person? You know, because I mean, you don't want to discover it the hard way. You know, you don't. So how do you take care of your skin? Because it can be beautiful. As in some really pretty girls who are nicely made up and all of that. How do you preserve that skin?
Well, number one. Notice the way I'm dressed. I'm not trying to make a fashion statement. I'm protecting my face, so you wear your heart. You make sure I never buy short sleeve. And please, if you're listening to me and you have a child with albinism, and if that child is in school and they are not allowing you to, for her or him to wear trousers and long sleeve shirts, please write my office. I will write to the school. There's a national policy on albinism. The federal government have passed a rule that any school that does not comply should be closed down. because it is costing this country a lot of money to treat albinos with skin cancer. So wear your trousers, wear your long sleeve, wear your hat, and wear sunscreen. I was coming on set, and the young, beautiful woman walked up to me. I want to touch up your face. I said, no, don't do that, because I'm wearing a sunscreen that I don't want your powders.
So even young kids should wear, even if you're in primary school?
Sweetheart, from the very day you were born, there are sunscreen, and most of them we provide for free. If you walk into the shop to get a sunscreen, you pay as much as 4,000, 3,000 naira. Because the kind of sunscreen we use is 50 SPF, sun protection factor.
That's not very common in Nigeria.
Yeah, well, we try to sometimes get them or get sellers to bring them. We don't sell, but we knock it down, rock bottom prices, and make sure it's affordable to our people, and sometimes we get it for free. There is, at the moment, 200,000 tubes of sunscreen that were brought in from Germany. The federal government ought to pay for it. It hasn't been paid for, so the agent is holding it, you know. And that could save this country a lot of money, because right now we've pushed, and by the grace of God, federal government is treating albinos with skin cancer for free, because it is very expensive.
Well, we'll talk about a lot of the issues. I know it was a lot of work to get the national policy on albinism into progress. I get your reaction on that, whether it does affect the 6 million albinos we have in this country. Is it adequate enough? And we also want to get some more information about tips, life-saving tips we should know, like you talked about the dress code and the dressing routine and all of that. Just go ahead, your reactions.
Well, first of all, the national policy took us a lot of resources because we paid for it, even though it carries federal government logo. But we're grateful that they supported us and they allowed us, and the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, approved it, you know. Often the problem with this country is that we have good policies, but no implementation. And where you have bad policies, there are greater implementation, you know. So that's one of those things. We're pushing for this government to take it up and implement them. If that policy, if a summary of it was implemented, this young man wouldn't have killed himself.
Tell us more about the policy.
Yeah, well, the policy entails, it throws more light on the issues and the persons with albinism. At the foundation level, we work in 5 thematic areas. Social awareness, which will help debunk the myth, the discrimination, the stigmatization, the lack of confidence, you know, and all that. Learning and education, many of us are not very educated. 89.5% of the albinism community are not educated. They're not educated. And for me, education solves major life problems. Give me education, I'll be less discriminated. You know, the color of money doesn't discriminate. Once you have money in your pocket, nobody will discriminate you. Once you're successful, you will not be discriminated, hardly, you know. Well, once you're successful and you're smart, you know, you can marry a beautiful lady like she is. I'm married. You're beautiful. All right. So education is key, all right? And these policies captured education. Economic empowerment. Many of us, because of lack of education, don't have skills, can't do one thing or the other to get on with life. So we wanted a situation where they will be totally and absolutely empowered. Let me go back to education, because there's a very interesting thing. You're looking at a man who once dropped out of school.
Because of stigmatization.
Oh yes, I just couldn't cope. Part of our problem also is visual impairment. I may see you tomorrow and walk past you. Please don't think I'm arrogant. It's just that I can't recognize you. And I don't want to get embarrassed by greeting the wrong person, you know. I mean, I may see you tomorrow and walk past you. And I'm saying it to those of us who are listening to us. Many of my friends, you know, those of them who don't know, would drag me back. Jake, don't you see me? And I said, I didn't see you. That's the truth. You know, some people say, oh, well, albinos, they see well at night. No, We're as blind as a bat in the day. We don't. These lights, and I'm not comfortable with it. I tried to be a broadcaster. I got frustrated because I couldn't read the news. So I ended up being my own presenter and producer at the same time because I can't see what the producer is doing. So I had to produce, I had to do my script and do the presentation and do the production all at the same time, you know. Wow. So it's a very challenging life, you know. Of course, we know there are policies that did not capture us. I'll give you an instance. The education, all-inclusive education policy was formulated in this country and we were left out. And the Minister of Education was honest to say, Jake, you guys were left out. I didn't know what to do. And so, you know, needs will always drive a solution. So quickly we went back and started policy inclusion process. So I said, all right, give us the component that has to do with disability. We're part of it. We are in the community of disabled persons with disability, you know, because of our sight, because of our skin, you know. So then we also have legislations. We're trying to push through various issues through the legislation, you know. And then, of course, there are other things that the policy captured. One of my frustration is that there are a huge community of persons with albinism in Lagos. And I just can't get the Lagos state government to sit down with us. They created a disability community. They did not include albinos. Maybe somebody somewhere is ignorant of the fact that when you have a certain aspect of your life that is malfunction, that makes you a person with disability. I can't see properly with my eyes. I'm not proud of the fact that I have that, but that's the truth. I'm not going to live in denial just because you see me and you feel that I look good. I have issues. And I'm not also going to go to the street to beg because I know there's nothing wrong with me. Give me equal. Yesterday, somebody, I met with the Canadian ambassador and we had applied for a project. And I said to him, I don't want you to give me the project because I'm an albino. Give me the project because we qualified just like every other person. No albino comes to my office and say, please, I want to get an admission because I'm an albino. I'll work you out. Go read, pass the exam just like every other person. Sometimes we even do better, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, talking about the psychological effects, we've seen that in the young man who took his own life. What kind of support do you give in the group?
Yeah, well, we have various chapters, and every month these chapters meet. They meet as support group, like you rightly said. They exchange information. They share experiences. I am very concerned about the female albinos. They go through worse circumstances. Yesterday, I met with a friend of mine. I don't want to mention his position. And he said, oh, there was this albino who was my classmate. I wanted to have her. I wanted to just, you know what it means like, what she feels like, you know, and all that. I mean, crazy. Absolutely crazy. At the end of the day, they leave them heartbroken. Many of them have kids. Many of them have been sent. I had a secretary. The husband woke up one morning and walked out, and that's the end of the relationship. So they're traumatized, you know, stigmatized, and they live with it, you know. So these are some of the issues that we're going through, and the solution is right under our nose. If anybody in authority with a political will can sit down and say, what are your issues? Don't go to your office and make laws that you don't know anything about. Most of the people that write all the memos and all that don't even know what albinism is. So how can you solve the problem?
It's good we're talking about this issue now because it's hardly talked about on national television, for example. So I'm sure a lot of people watching who are probably listening to you, hearing all these issues. I wish the director at some point can, Dr. Leon, can throw open the phone line so people who are facing these issues at home, maybe the government probably watch and think about things they
I
can
wrote to the present governor
yes, so
as soon as this issue happened, because if we don't stem the tide, and I'm really sorry to cut you
please
short.
go on.
Yeah, if we don't stem it, others will follow. That's why I'm vehement about the fact that this is not the way to go. What we've done as a foundation, we're taking care of the aunt who is traumatized. I'm trying to get psychologists to sit down with her and talk with her. We've sent money. I was with her. I mean, I can show you a photograph. You saw the photograph. I had to hug her. Beautiful woman. Beautiful, excellent woman. Took care of these children all her life. No doubt there's dysfunctionality in the family and all that. And by the way, this young man still have an albino younger sister, and I've given the instruction, I will go all out if I have to sell my jacket to send her to school.
So, because I know parents, a lot of people watching and thinking about what you don't get into the position to imagine. So we throw open the phone lines. The numbers are up on your screen. Maybe you've had an encounter with an albino. You're working with one, or you have one as a child, and probably don't want to get the kind of situation where you start to ask yourself questions. What am I doing wrong?
Exactly.
Am I doing something? Just tell us what it is meant like a day-to-day living an albino, things that we should take into consideration.
Well, day to day, walking into your studio, all eyes were staring. Who is this? What does he do? You know, why is he? I have holiday makers in my house, and my little niece, who had never had the opportunity to sit down with the uncle, you know, because I mean I do a lot of travels and all that, and we sat down the other day, and I told them, I said, feel free, ask me any question. They're teenagers, so I wanted to know what they're going through. You know, the questions, Uncle, why are you different from all your brothers and my father? She didn't know, and I had to sit her down and explain.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Epele, we'll put you on the pause here because we have our first call. Eremosele calling in from Lagos here. Please go ahead.
Hello.
We can hear you, Eremosele. Please go on.
But, you know, let me ask now, how do you teach albinos to be comfortable with who they are? Because there's stigmatization coming from all corners, and then you begin to doubt who you are as a person, and it affects your life and decisions you make. Now, how do you begin to instill confidence?
First, I teach by my own self. As an example, I teach integrity, because what gives you confidence is your creator. That's the first, all right? But I also teach them to locate somebody in the family who loves you and spend more time with that person than one who discriminates you or alienates you. My father was my hero. My dad saw me as the best thing that ever happened to him. My stepmom, you won't believe this, she was my heroine. She saw me as the best thing that ever happened to me.
We have another call. Sorry, we have another call.
Because Emmanuel calling in from Lagos. Please go ahead.
Hello. I'm Emmanuel by name, calling from Ikorodu.
Good. Please go on.
Yeah. So, well, it is well challenging because in my environment where I live, there's a lady that has 5 albinos. And she has been facing a lot of challenges. There have been no help. There has been nothing from nobody. Even the young lady question has been abandoned by her husband and by her friends. I'm a proprietor of the school, and I have 3 albinos in my school. And I discovered that formally when they came to reach out the children, the husband came with the wife with the children. But after the first time and second time, the husband left. It is not left to the wife. But me being somebody that is so kind, I look at the woman and said, I won't allow these children to go without being educated. So I have to allow them to stay, and I give the 3 of them scholarship. Because the woman can't afford it. But the most painful aspect of it is the one living very close to me at my area. He has 5 albino, and the woman in question is even a cripple. And she has been abandoned. So I think such woman that need help. She needs help big time because she can't cater for 5 of the children. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
Thank you
Please,
very much.
please, I will make my numbers available. Please do call me. We have a chapter, a very strong chapter, led by a very energetic woman. She's a nurse. She's beautiful. I will put you in touch with her, and whatever we can do from the national office, we will. It's a huge problem. They say it's promises makes relationship. It's performance that keeps it. So I'm very careful making promises because I know it is a huge burden on my shoulders.
All right. So you talked about identifying with a family member that would be a hero.
Yes.
Who loves you unconditionally.
Very, very important. And then, of course, at the foundation level, we created role models. And please be one of them. You guys are stars. People see you all the days, all the time. When you identify with a person with albinism, it's a confidence booster. It instills confidence just like that. Yesterday, I met with the Canadian ambassador, who is one of our supporters, and I gave him a hug and I asked for a photograph. And after that, I said, "Look, Your Excellency, I want to put this out, and you will be amazed the impact this will make." I've had some role models take photographs. Richard took photographs with some albinos, and they went to town. "Oh well, you think I'm not important? Look at me and Richard."
Let me ask another question. Now, somebody called in and talked about the fact that a woman had 5 albino children and was abandoned by her husband. Now, we know that there's a mixture of genes. Okay.
Steve calling in from Jos. Please go ahead.
On this stigmatization of albinos, the problem is that I think is lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge of the powers of God in creation. God created everything for his goodness. God created everything to make the world complete. But it's unfortunate. Evil people are taking over to think the way they want to think. If we understand that all things in creation are for the goodness and pleasure of God, then there should be no discrimination of any person based on his color or where he has found himself. Right from creation, we know that we have different types of people. All that I want to preach and tell the world is that we must learn to appreciate each other in our weaknesses, in our shortcomings, that in our weaknesses we may be complete. Thank you very much. And God
Thank
bless
you very much, Steve. Thank you.
All right. That's a beautiful piece. Very encouraging. Now, so I was saying that it's a mixture of genes. Now, I would like you to debunk it that it would be the woman's fault that she has about 5.
No. The interesting thing about giving birth to an albino is the fact that the gene has to be in both man and a woman. So for that man who says, "Well, where did you..." People had told my mom, "Yeah, you must have slept with somebody else, to have..." Because I'm the only albino in the family of 5, And of course, my mom lived with that stigma for a very long time. I'll tell you some funny things. Sometimes when a pregnant woman sees an albino, say, "Oh, please, don't come near me, I'll give birth to an albino." It's not contagious. It's not a communicable circumstance. It's a gene issue, all right? And so the presence of the gene had to be in the woman
And the man. All right.
for you to produce a full-fledged person with albinism.
Sorry to interrupt you again. Akisha one calling in from Abuja. Please go ahead.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, we can hear you. Please go on.
Okay. Good morning once again. I think I must thank the CEO of the Albino Foundation. Last week Sunday, I was in House on the Rock Church, and I saw his beautiful presentation. In fact, he gave an award to the church, to the pastor, and I just want to commend him for the beautiful work that he is doing. I pray God will continue to be with you.
Thank you,
God
sir.
will continue to support you. And humanity as you said that very day to the pastor, we never and ever forget you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Continue the good work.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Tell me something. You know you've done some work also in Tanzania, where the killing of albinos from 2000 till date, about 80 of them, President Jakaya Kikwete said it's a shame and a disgrace to Tanzania, this sort of thing was going on. And then he put out a ban on all traditional healers in Tanzania because we're linked to the ritual models going on. You've done some work there. Sometimes people go to these sort of extreme measures to enforce. Does it solve the problem, or we need to look deeper into our consciences and our hearts and souls, exactly what has gone wrong with the African man?
Well, the thing is, when people are ignorant and they hold so strong to certain views and ideologies, over a period of time, it becomes an accepted norm. You know, I mean, how can you think that anybody will think that human being can make money? I would have been richer if my skin can produce money. I would have been very, very wealthy. Why would I be killed and for you to use it? I mean, it's absurdity, unfortunately. We at the onset of the issues, we wrote to the Tanzanian government. A couple of, and I think your station probably carried that. A couple of months ago, I addressed a press conference with the Tanzanian ambassador. I wrote to the president of Tanzania and gave one or two instances of what I think should be done, and one of them was to appoint an albino as a member of their parliament, which they have done, and also to come out clean, you know, let people know what you're going through so that you can get help, you know, and honestly and sincerely, the Tanzanian government took a bold step, you know. But I can also tell you that Nigerian government and the foundation have done greater work than any organization globally. We're the first to do a national policy on albinism globally. You know, we're the first country that is treating albinos with skin cancer for free.
Wow.
You know, and
laudable.
Yes. Well, we've sent over 300 kids to school, and I'm very proud of one of my staff that we sent to Aberdeen, and she came back with a master's degree, and she was the best of our class. Wow. So we're trying to push her now to do a PhD, because Oluchi is a very smart girl, very intelligent. She's an opera singer.
Wow.
She sings.
A girl of
lovely.
many talents.
Yeah. Probably I'll send her here.
We would like to meet her. Now, in rounding this up, we would like you to put out the details of, you know, the albino group, which you've put together in Lagos and Abuja, national numbers, anything at all for anybody who wants to be a part.
Yeah. Well, for Lagos State, the numbers are on our website, albinofoundation.org. If you click on members, Josephine, beautiful lady, her numbers will pop up. I don't have it offhand, but then I always say that the market women have my number, so I'm not afraid.